Why did Nike do what they did this last week with their marketing to kick off their 30th anniversary of Just Do It? So let's back up and get a little bit of history here. Step one, a football player named Colin Kaepernick kneels during the anthem. This is like 3 years ago. Step two, some people get really ticked about that. Step three, his actions cause him to eventually just get fired, or he doesn't get rehired, however you want to do that. Step four, he gets pretty ticked and then he sues his employer, the NFL. So that's fairly recent news. Then it gets a little bit more tricky though from the Nike standpoint. Nike just won a contract back in less than a year ago, I think it was April, to do all the jerseys for the NFL through 2028. That's a pretty big contract. So that's like the extra little piece of this whole thing. Needless to say, the amount of Trump comments and the political piece to this. Then Wednesday, Nike releases their new ad campaign with Colin as their main star for the 30th anniversary ad. Did Nike screw up, or did they completely know what they were doing based on marketing research? Now, let's look at Nike a little bit. Nike has a history of controversy. Years ago, Charles Barkley said, "I'm not a role model." Then Tiger Woods was one to say, "Hey, they don't let me in country clubs because of my skin color." So all these things kind of push the boundaries. Oh, and don't forget, they put Andre Agassi in blue jean shorts to play tennis. So there's a history of pushing the boundaries for Nike and their advertising. Now let's look at the data. Over 50% of consumers think that a position of a company is a reason to buy a product or not. 50%, slightly over 50. If it's the millennial group, it's over 60%. Then, if you take all that data and dig in just a little more, that you find that the people that are offended by kneeling during the anthem is pretty wide. It starts off with the most people being Trump supporters and rural Americans, and then it dwindles down to urban Target and Clinton supporters. And that's a very small group of people who are offended. So taking all that information basically boils this down to one thing. The target market falls within Nike's demographic. So with all that research being said, it would make sense, or it would be not so risky to make Colin the spokesperson because of the demographic that they're after. However, a word of caution. Not everyone should be putting their marketing aligned with cause and political efforts and controversial topics. It backfires as much as it doesn't. Not long ago, Pepsi-Cola did an ad where one of the Jenner girls came out of the studio, ripped a wig off, had a Pepsi-Cola, went into a riot type situation that wasn't believable at all. And how did she solve it? She handed a police officer a Pepsi-Cola and everything went great. It was viewed as a marketing ploy. Now, the last part I want to touch on. What are the results from what Nike did this week? Well, as of yesterday morning, the results said that they lost favorability across the board. So that's their target demographic, that's their non-target demographic. So it turns out that a third of everyone believes it was a marketing gimmick. Roughly a third of everyone doesn't care, and roughly a third are slightly offended. But only time will tell on these things. What do you guys think? Give me a comment, ask questions.